All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Khaled Taufik. I'm the Chief Information Officer with the City of San Jose, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our monthly GovAI Coalition. We have a full agenda, as Albert stated previously. If you're new to this coalition, please introduce yourself in the chat, and if you're a current member, please go ahead and introduce yourself to the new members. In our agenda today, we're going to receive some updates from the coalition and timelines by Angela. And then we're going to hear from our two guest speakers from FTC. And then we're going to update you, excuse me, update you on the status of our first conference in December and get also committee updates, status updates from the committees. With that, we advance to the next slide. All right, so this is a very active coalition. On a daily basis, there's at least one or two meetings happening, either from the committee or working groups or the board. If any of these of interest to you, please reach out to the committee or to the group and ask to join. And if there's a new working group or committee that you feel that we should be considering, please as well introduce it to the team, and we'll be happy to consider it with the other members. And with that, I'll turn it over to Angela to give us an update.
Thank you, Khaled. Can we move to the next slide, please? All right. Hi, everyone. So one of our first updates is that the Administration for Children and Families, the ACF from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, a lot of acronyms here, is seeking perspectives from local governments on AI, especially on the potential use of AI in human services programs. They are particularly interested in understanding the potential opportunities and challenges. And there are two things that we like to highlight here. The first one is a 5-minute survey on the current and planned uses of AI in your workplace, your resources and guidance needed, as well as the reasons that you may have chosen for not using AI in your workplace. And the second thing are focus groups. So I believe that there are still 4 focus groups left. The last one is on August 6th. And these are 30 I would say about like an hour each for 30 people per focus group. And the goal is to discuss potential AI use cases in the areas for eligibility determination, case management, risk assessment, and service recommendations. I think Layla has sent out an email to everyone highlighting these opportunities and the links to these opportunities. But if you haven't had a chance to see the email yet, no worries. We'll include these links at the end of today's updates, and we can also put the links in today's chat. Can we do the next slide, please? Thank you. Next, one thing that we like to highlight are the use cases with vendor demos that we are really excited about. So Jamie, our wonderful co-chair from the Use Cases Committee, will be reaching out to vendors who have submitted fact sheets and are on our AI registry. The idea here is that vendors can demonstrate their product or their service, but this must be in partnership with a public sector agency, most likely with a public sector agency who has already been able to pilot or use this product. We are planning on grouping these demos by use case, and we are also hoping that these demos will take place in the fall, so somewhere in September and October. So again, Jamie, our wonderful co-chair, will be reaching out with a link to sign up. Next slide, please. All right, and then we have a social media presence, so please check us out on LinkedIn. We're very excited to have been given a shout out from the White House, so thank you all for your amazing work. We also have other updates. For example, we would like to call on agencies to contribute translation pairs to the open data portal so that we can share all of these translations from multiple different languages together, and that reduces the work on many agencies for compiling these translation pairs. And again, please follow us for more updates between GovAI meetings, and we'll also be sending out these updates in the email at the end of this meeting. Next slide, please. And finally, this is just a quick reminder of where we are in the coalition. Welcome to all the new members. Just as a reminder, we are in phase two. So in phase one, previously in October 2023 until March 2024, we were working on our one-stop shop for all of the documents needed to set up AI governance. And in phase two, the goal is implementation. Um, and so that is why we have so many different committees and working groups all focused on different areas of how to both implement these documents and other additional use cases and for data governance. And we're hoping that this phase will end in around March, April of 2025, where we can then move into phase three, where we're focusing on scaling the coalition. Next slide, please. And I'm going to be passing it off to Layla.
Angela, just before we jump onto this, I just want to give a huge shout out. This continued between ACF and what we had with a number of the coalition agencies presenting at the White House earlier this week. Again and again, we continue to see this growing partnership between the work that we as a coalition, all of the agencies here, and the federal government to push the conversation of AI. And I think that's truly incredible. So continue to engage, continue to be a partner in this space. And in part of that is this work with the FTC. So sorry, Angela, I just wanted to jump in on that, but Layla, please take it.
Awesome. Thanks, Angela and Albert. Yes. So speaking of working with our partners at the federal level of government, today we're joined by two guests from the Federal Trade Commission. So the FTC has been doing really important work to ensure that the AI systems sold by companies actually live up to their marketing claims. And if they don't live up to those claims, to bring enforcement action against those companies. So we're very lucky to have Stephanie Nguyen, Chief Technology Officer, and Amrita Jayanti, Deputy CTO from the FTC, on with us today. Stephanie was named CTO in 2022. She brings over a decade of leadership building and designing technical products and services across government, academia, civil society, and the private sector, specializing in human-computer interaction design and user experience research. Prior to her tenure at the FTC, Stephanie worked at the U.S. Digital Service at the White House and as a research scientist at MIT. Amrita was named Deputy CTO in January 2024 after serving as a senior technology advisor at the FTC. She previously worked as the Associate Director of the Technology and Public Purpose Project at the Harvard Belfer Center, and she's conducted research on human-computer interaction and security and privacy issues. So Stephanie and Amrita, great to see you again, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I want to ask if you could briefly introduce some of the work that the FTC has been doing around AI, and particularly if there's anything that you're working on right now or a recent accomplishment that our local and state agencies should know about.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to chat with you all. When we met Layla in person and her team, we were just so thrilled that there were such leaders on the ground who are convening already on this work. And so the work that you all are doing helps inform us about, in many ways, like how we should be working, what specific provisions and policies we should be considering. And so thank you for all the work and for having us. In terms of our team and what we are doing, we are head of the Office of Technology, which was stood up just last year. The agency obviously has a massive...
Not only are we seeing Microsoft Copilot, but we're seeing a variety of other tools that do this similar type of helps you find your documents to write and draft documents, in the future. It's a really fascinating and new space that a lot of agencies are looking into. And in some of our conversations that we've been able to have with Microsoft and with a lot of the agencies here on the call, there's some key things that we're going to want to think of around good old-fashioned data governance if we really want to have these tools be used well, effectively, and safely. So stay tuned. Next month's presentation, we're going to be diving deeper into what you and the rest of us can really do to prepare for these types of tools as they are coming to a government environment. Let's move to the next slide. And next thing to highlight is we've got the GovAI Coalition Summit, an in-person convening, with logistics coming very shortly over email. Last thing that we want to do before we send out those logistics is we've got just a little survey for folks to fill out by August 2nd. So that's this Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. If someone in the group could drop that in the chat at some point. And yeah, I can already see conversations in the chat right here. There's a lot of conversation happening around Copilot. So between that and these other types of tools, we're going to be taking the next month to do some research, do some looking at that, and get some of the detail that we can provide to the rest of the folks here. So if you have information that you're already learning, please don't hesitate to send it to Layla, myself, Angela, the folks on this call. Send it to us at digitalprivacy@sanjoseca.gov. The more information that we can provide across the coalition, the better on this. On this front, please fill out the survey on the upcoming in-person convening, the Coalition Summit, if you haven't already, and then we'll send out details on that shortly after. Let's move to the next slide. So this is just a reminder. I know we've got a bunch of events going on across the coalition. Khaled mentioned up top, we've got different working groups, different committees, all across the board here to do things. If you have not already, I highly recommend you take a look at our Google Calendar. The links are in the slides, and we'll also send out the link after this. Take a look at it, download the invites that make sense for you, and that way you can join whatever committees, coalition events you are interested in. In that same vein, we have updated, and you can go to the next slide here. We have updated the way that folks can sign up for the coalition. We just updated this on the website, and we are sending out this new link for folks. The updated link is for everyone. So whether you're a government agency, a vendor, civil society, academia, whoever you are, you want to sign up for the coalition, you can go to that link, and we can get someone to drop that in the chat at some point. Not only will this get you to take a look at what committees you want to join, you'll also get sent in response to filling out this form, you'll get sent the coalition-wide email alongside the invites for the committee meetings. So let's move on to the next slide here. And now I'm going to pass it off to Emily for some updates on our cooperative purchasing committee.
Awesome. Thank you, Albert. Hi, everybody. I'm Emily Royal. I manage Emerging Technology Division in the City of San Antonio. So I just want to refresh the goal of our cooperative purchasing committee is to advance standards for AI procurements. We want to work to incentivize markets to adapt to those standards so we can negotiate better terms and pricing potentially for different AI systems and use cases of interest to the membership. I was really pleased to hear Amrita talk about procurement as policy. That is very much in line and in scope with our procurement committee. So our aim now is to create a portal, if you will, of procurement and contracting resources for GovAI members on specific use cases that are of interest to the coalition. We have worked with the use case committee to identify 3 areas of interest for the coalition that we'd like to build these resources for. They are currently object detection, i.e. computer vision, identifying objects, activities, behaviors in public right-of-way. The second one is AI translation, pretty straightforward. A lot of folks want to use AI-based translation tools for town hall events or internal development of documents. And then the third one is what we would call internal large language models, i.e. Copilot, or really just any AI system that is ingesting your data internally and providing insights based on your organization's data. Our first step is to collect known contracts for each of these use cases and aim to create what is called like a buyer's guide that we're hoping will provide guidance on best practices for procurement and structuring terms and conditions that are in your best interest as a public agency for each of these types of use cases. And our second step is to analyze all of these contracts so that we can try to understand, what those terms and conditions really should be for the organization and for GovAI members. So to achieve this, we need your help. At the end of this meeting, there is going to be a very brief survey. We would like to know if you are working on or already have in place any existing RFIs, RFPs, or executed contracts around these use cases for AI technologies that include, object detection, AI translation, or internal AI systems. Please take the time to respond to that survey. It's really going to help our team put together valuable resources to guide and support purchasing for safe and responsible AI technologies and tools from the market. And we're hoping that the outcome of that is to benefit all of our GovAI members. Additionally, if you'd like to join this conversation in the Purchasing Cooperative Committee, please DM me right now on the call, or you can use the single sign-on form that Albert was presenting earlier and just indicate your interest in working with us. And we're really looking forward to having this conversation with you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. Excited for the continued work that we've got there. The buyer's guide, very timely on all of that. I'll move on to a quick update on the Adoption Support Committee. Again, this is a space for agencies to just come in, take time, learn about the coalition documentation where you can get started on drafting your own AI policies, AI agreements, AI fact sheets for your own agency's usage. I want to take a quick moment to provide some interesting findings that we've had in the last month that could potentially be useful for the rest of the coalition. Again, if you want to join any of these meetings, you can fill out the single sign-on form or grab the invites from the Google Calendar. First thing is we started walking through interpreting how to actually understand a fact sheet, right? So we went through an example fact sheet of what a vendor has provided to government agencies on our vendor registry. And one of the questions that we had was around what is training data versus test data. We're going through a variety of different things on the fact sheet, but this is one that seemed to be a sticking point and want to flag here to the coalition. When we talk about training and test data and evaluating whether or not they are good fit based on the fact sheet, you want to make sure that however the model was trained, that training data matches your use case. That whatever their data was trained on or whatever their model was trained on, that it sounds similar enough to what application you're using. Think about an example of if you want it to identify orange cones, make sure that it wasn't tested on blue bowling pins. So, little example, but something like that. And then making sure that the test data, that should be different from the training data, making sure that they say that, hey, this is a separate form of data that we've used to test it. And it's not just, frankly, cheating off of the answers that it learned in the training data. Next slide. We got a lot of questions. A lot of agencies are looking into how they can ask questions around an AI system in their RFPs or in their other types of solicitations. I want to highlight the great work that was done back in phase 1 by our policy working group. They have example questions on how to write an RFP or how to write questions in an RFP that go into evaluating an AI system and how to evaluate those questions all in our AI manual, which is accessible on the GovAI webpage. Right up there, take a look at page 22 of the AI manual. You can find a bunch of suggested RFP questions and how to evaluate them right on there. And with that, we can move on to the next slide. And I'm going to pass it off to our policy committee.
All right, thanks, Albert. Jonathan Banky, City of San Diego, along with co-chairs Brendan Daly and Prakar Bajpai from City of Austin. Our committee has a goal of publishing version 2 of the toolkit in 12 months through the process. Some quick updates. First, C2PA, we talked a little about that last time. That is the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. And that's an emerging industry standard for documentation of the origin, history, and ownership of digital content. The goal of that group is really to put together technical specs that can help verify the origin and authenticity of different types of content, like images, videos, documents. They've got a solution developed that is in beta right now. So we will continue gathering information on this standard and share more in future meetings as we make progress on putting information together on that. It's sounding like it may be something that they charge for in the future. It's in beta right now. I think they're still developing that full picture. But we've also received feedback from the group on vendor agreement modifications. And, we just talked about Copilot earlier. So as you develop your policies and think about things like Copilot coming in. If you've got comments on our existing templates or ideas on updates for that, please share those. And as you complete your policies, please upload your completed policies. I think we've got 10 of those so far. But appreciate the feedback from everybody so far and keep it coming. And that's all I've got. Thanks.
So thank you, Jonathan, and really excited about what we see both from the updates on the templates and also this content provenance space, thinking how we make sure that information that we see out there is actually reliable information. So excited to see as that develops and excited to see what we can share with the broader coalition in the coming months. I'm going to pass it off to Jamie on use cases.
Thank you, Albert. Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Waskalis. I'm the Chief Information Officer at the City of St. Paul in beautiful Minnesota. The Use Cases Committee is focused on exploring, implementing, documenting, and demoing value when it comes to AI in the public sector. We have broken up into 4 working groups who are focusing on specific use case areas: object detection, internal large language models, translation, and transportation. Where we are right now, some updates. So first, like Angela mentioned, we're looking at demos with vendors. So most of us, rely on vendor partnerships to really support our jurisdictions. And the Use Cases Committee really wants to highlight these partnerships, those partnerships that are prioritizing responsible and purposeful AI adoption across the public sector. So I'll be sending an email out to those vendors who are currently participating in our registry, and then you all will find out more about those vendor demo days, which will be likely in September or October. So really excited to demo a lot of this great work that's happening. Also, the next one, our collaboration with cooperative purchasing that Emily mentioned. Our internal LLM group has been collaborating with cooperative purchasing. Dustin from that group will be presenting on the implementation of Gen AI for SharePoint at our next Use Cases Committee meeting, which is August 20th. So if you're interested in that, come join us, see what's going on there. Really excited to continue that work. And then finally, from our translation working group, really we would love for you to add your data to our open data portal. We have data from 4 agencies. You can sign up. You can download what we have right there, what we already have on the open data portal. And then really it's all about us coming together, bringing our jurisdictions top languages together so we can build something that is really in line with what our constituents and residents need. Finally, again, just thank you to all of the working groups. The transportation working group and our object detection working group are continuing to work on their use cases as well, and we'll have more updates as we move forward. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. And Angela just dropped in the chat the link to sign up for the open data portal. So if you have translation pairs, or maybe there's a language access group in your agency, please sign up. We're building out and growing that database along with others right now. Next, I'm going to pass it off to Anthony, and I think Jiri's not on, so I'll just pass it to you, Anthony, for external affairs.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Albert. Yeah, unfortunately, Jerry is out of the office today, but I'm Anthony Fisher. I'm the local agency security officer, as well as the head of data governance and AI for the Colorado Department of Revenue. So we got a couple updates from our working groups. So first and foremost, if Saber's on the call, I can pass it over to her to give a brief update on the GovAI Coalition conference. Is she not on? I didn't see her in the participants list.
Do you have the update, Anthony, or would you like me to?
Perfect. Yeah, Khaled, if you could give a couple updates.
Sure. Well, too bad Jim just walked away. I think currently we're looking at the first week of December to have our first conference or summit, and the plan is to have it hosted by the city and GovTech in San Jose. More details to be provided. We're looking at 4 tracks. One of them to be for the elected officials, and the goal and the mission is really to have the kind of draft the work plan for 2025 and kind of identify what we want each of the participants or the tracks, elected officials, the participants, and also some of the use cases to be drafted and to be leaving hopefully the conference with some key initiatives and understanding for us. I know I said December. This is tentatively the date that we were trying to work with. I think some of the questions in the survey can help us finalize the date. So please do whatever you can to complete the survey so that we can get the assessment from you to understand what would work for everyone. One of the reasons we're trying to get it done before the end of the year is the fact that we want to get the plan ready, because a lot of cities kind of formalize, or agencies kind of formalize their budget in the beginning of 2025. So having this information before the budget cycle kind of helps the mayors, elected officials, and city managers kind of draft and have an understanding of what to be expected, especially if they want to allocate resources for AI or any resources to be dedicated to work with GovAI. So anyways, that's my update, and back to you, Anthony.
Okay, thank you, Khaled. And then in terms of stakeholder engagement work group, Andrew, are you on the line to give an update on some of the work you've been doing in that work group?
I am. Good afternoon, everybody. So we have made 2 posts to LinkedIn. One was the announcement with the White House as it relates to a shout out to the GovAI Coalition. And then more importantly, the second one was really a call to action as it relates to the use case for language translation, specifically for a terminology that is specific to government. So we really appreciate your help on that. And so there's going to be more to come. We're currently also developing a approvals process as it relates to any sort of request that you would like to share with through the GovAI Coalition on LinkedIn. That's really my update.
Okay, and I'll kind of follow that up and reiterate. If there's any posts where, say, you've been interviewed or there's some mention of GovAI in the news, because as Jerry and I are pretty active on LinkedIn, as well as some of the other folks in our committee, we might miss something. So if you see something or you have something that you'd like us to share out through that GovAI LinkedIn account, please reach out to Jerry or myself, and we'll make sure to work with Andrew and get a post put together and be able to push that out onto social media. And then I'll kind of finalize with partnerships. So one of the things that we've been working on a lot within external affairs is aligning GovAI Coalition with other organizations, academics, and folks that really share our values and share our vision for where we want to see AI go and how we can potentially advocate for good AI policy. So I attached a link in the document here, in the presentation here, to a document that outlines some of the different opportunities that we have currently. All of these opportunities will be reviewed and looked at by the board, and we will go ahead and vote on those hopefully at the next meeting and be able to formalize a couple of those partnerships. We're really excited, obviously, to reach out to other folks and work with other folks, but at this time we have a couple on the docket that we'd like to kind of work through and see if we can go ahead and formalize those partnerships. But as always, if you know of an organization or somebody who might work well with us, please feel free to reach out to Jerry or myself. And then finally, if external affairs is kind of your jam, if you like working with other folks external to GovAI, if social media is your passion, we are looking for folks to help out and assist in a couple of those areas. So reach out to Jerry or myself. And with that, I'll pass it back over to you, Albert.
Awesome. Thank you, Anthony. And very excited to get things started on our LinkedIn and more of the partnership conversations. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, even repost if you can. Last but not least, I want to pass it off to Ethan, if he's on the call, for any quick updates we have on AI registry. For quick context, our last meeting was intended to occur right during what some would call the strike crisis. So there have been some events happening. But Ethan, if you'd like to give any updates or just any call to action, please.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Albert. I appreciate it. And yeah, we canceled our last meeting at short notice. I'm Ethan Benetton. I'm the Chief Information Officer for TriMet, the transit agency in the Portland, Oregon region. And as many of you who work in IT know, that was a busy day. So thank you for the grace on that one. Our 12-month goal for the AI Registry Committee is to have launched a beta registry platform, which would move us from more or less emailing around a completed form to something that's actually interactive, and have 100 fact sheets submitted. And as we got started on that, one of the things that we realized was that our thinking about how we relate with vendors might be a little narrower than we want. So we've started to think about this as really a vendor engagement strategy. And we're proposing internally with the board and with our fearless leaders from San Jose, the idea of really taking a little bit of a step back right now and thinking about, hey, where are we creating value for the vendor community to partner closely in this? A couple things that I would observe there are, it's easy for us, I think, not in the vendor community, speaking for myself, to think about the main interest of vendors being selling stuff. But in addition to customer leads, vendors want to find folks with aligned interests. They need information. They need partnerships, and more. And so what we're starting to do is kind of round that out and say, hey, what brings vendors to the table? How do we create value for vendors as well as for our government partners, and make that the basis of how we're going to achieve our goals? So we're doing a little rethinking right now. If that interests you, then do please reach out. My email is not on the slide, but Angela's is, and that would be welcome. There's lots of ways to reach me. I'm also not hard to find. I think it's getting much more exciting work about the long-term vibrancy that it's bringing to the government vendor relationships that we're talking about. So thanks, Albert. Back to you.
Thank you, Ethan. And excited between the work that you're talking about, Ethan, and as we're exploring use case demos for the vendors and the folks that are on the call here. Now, please, if you haven't signed up already, please do. If you haven't filled out a fact sheet, please do, or please reach out to have that conversation to fill out those fact sheets. This is a process. This is a team process across all of us. So excited to grow that partnership. And look, folks, that's it. We got 6 minutes left on the clock here. So we've just flashed up some next steps for folks. Two main things that we just want to highlight. One, the Cooperative Purchasing Committee, because we're talking about both Copilot and these other types of AI tools. If you could please fill out that survey. You can do it in the last 5 minutes that we got here. Fill out that on the Cooperative Purchasing Committee and fill out the survey on the GovAI conference date and session ideas. Those collectively should take about 5 minutes. So go ahead, fill those out, then check out the registry, review use case guides. And if I don't see you in one of the committee or working group meetings, I'll see you at our next coalition meeting, August 28th at 1 p.m. Pacific. With that, have a great day, everyone. Take care and see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice one.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.